So I got the Eahora AM100 here. Got a lot of upgrades from stock now. Just kind of wanted to show you guys what it could be capable of. As of right now, I mean, the front fork and the rear shock have turned this into a complete mountain bike in my opinion. The only thing holding this frame back is just the rear linkage, which they use plastic washers instead of like a metal bearing. But besides that, everything about this bike is pretty awesome. I've been more than satisfied with the battery. It's paired with a 500-watt motor. The brakes, which I've changed out the brake pads a few times already, but branded Dyseland, and I'm very impressed by the grip on these. Got 180 millimeter rotors. I did swap out the front wheel for just like a mountain bike tubeless tire, and then I'm running a tube in the back right now. I might switch it to tubeless with Gorilla Tape, but outside of this, 170 millimeter travel fork, RockShox Yari. The original was I think like 130 or 140 millimeters of travel, so this is probably not necessarily recommended for the frame, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I might bump this fork down to 160. The fork was a straight tube. This is not tapered, so I had to get a tapered style headset. Everything, by the way, I've bought on AliExpress besides the fork, and yeah, I think that was really the only part, maybe the pedals, but yeah, this headset was like $6 or $7. Didn't need any more spacers. I did add one of mine though. Just got this. Have yet to test it out though, but it's for your stem cap. It's a phone holder. I think I'm really gonna like it. There's almost no play in here. Had one on the handlebar that I just did not like at all. What else we got here? I guess just the rear shock. It's EXA, Form RL. It's actually pretty good. You got the lockout with the rebound adjuster as well. 2 different pressure chambers. This one's going to be hard to reach while it's on the bike, so I might have to figure something out with that. I did have to order my own bushings, which this is not going to be the finished product because I had to add another one over here, like a very small one, just to make it fit. But as of now, that's going to work. If you're wondering, that's about 54 millimeters on this side, and same for that. What else? The drivetrain, after 2,000 miles or so, is still working strong. This is the original chain and chainring and cassette. I'm usually kind of keeping mostly in these gears right here, so I'm hardly shifting up in here, but when I'm mountain biking, I do use this way more. But on AliExpress, I got the cassette, the chain, and the chain ring, all for under $30, surprisingly, which is kind of a steal. The derailleur has been okay. It definitely bounces around. It's branded, what is that? S-Ride. A ton of bounce, but with this new suspension, I don't think I'm gonna have too many issues with it. Let me see here. We got the dropper post, just with the lever here, not on my handlebar, which I would like to have an internal dropper post eventually, if it's possible. I'm not too sure if it is with this frame, but yeah. Battery, which I don't have in right now. I think it's like a 13 amp hour battery, so definitely not getting crazy range with this, but I'm not too upset about it, because eventually a new battery is like $300 or so, but I'm getting more than enough before I'm tired, so probably 30 to 40 miles I could actually get out of this before it starts to slow down. But yeah, tires, Slaughter Grid, 27.5 by 2.6. Got them on sale earlier in the summer. I think it was like $14 for each tire. They are tubeless ready. So yeah, I put that on the front and back. The original tires were actually branded CST, which I never had any flats ever. These actually worked very well. This was my rear tire. You can see it definitely is worn out more than the front tire, so probably got some life left in this rear tire or front tire here, so might save that, but I'll get rid of this guy. Yeah, I mean, looking at the newer models of these, they got rid of the CST, the rear shock, which if I can find, there's no air adjustment. It's the HLT 100. So you can see they got their spacers here. So that's what I had to do with this rear shock to match it. So you have to buy your own bushings if you're going to replace that rear shock, which I highly recommend. And the front fork wasn't terrible. I think you could get away with it for a while for most people. If you're going to really go off-road, you should probably upgrade to something different. But this rear shock should be an absolute change for anything that looks like this. If your e-bike has this type of brand with no air adjustment, I mean, you should swap it over to something with one. And those rear shocks on AliExpress are like 40 bucks, maybe 50. So yeah, and then you'll have to buy bushings. So maybe 60, 70 bucks at the most for a new shock. That'll completely transform the feel of your full suspension bike. But comparing the brakes to like MT5s, I mean, I got Stealth Bombers here. This one has Tektro, only 2-piston. This one's got the 4-piston MT5s. When you have regen braking on e-bikes, I mean, yes, you could have 4-piston, but this worked totally fine. This bike, more off-road use. I don't want any noise from my brakes, so I got the MT5s on it. Yeah, I mean, I always thought hub motors really couldn't last off-road, but this thing's a beast. That's kind of my road bike. And then real mountain bikes, MT5s, I rock them on most of my mountain bikes, but outside of that, I mean, you can get a pretty cheap 2-piston similar to this for I think 30 bucks for a full set with the rotors. So honestly, you can't really beat that if you're just trying to find like an entry-level style brake set. What else? I mean, I got like a little wireless taillight. Doesn't have any type of braking function, but it does this little nice pattern. But yeah. Since I'm going to ride on the road mostly, I figured this was a good tread. Same for the front tire, and then it's got the knobs on the outside for off-road around corners. Haven't had to do any maintenance to this. Might have to do some truing here to the wheel, but I don't think there's that much that have been kind of making it sway. I think the tire isn't actually beaded properly, so I think that's what's making it look like it's spinning recently.